Welcome to Dirt Bike Reader Podcast. My name is Jeremy and I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Stel from On Point. How are you, my friend?
Good, mate. And yourself?
Good. Look, it's great that we finally sat down with you. We've been to and froing for so long now. It's cool that we finally get to sit down and actually have a chat.
Yeah, man. It's definitely been a while. So
I know you've looked after us for so long. It's about time we actually get your story and figure out what's going on and how you're able to look after us as well. It hasn't been an easy thing that we put you through.
Nah, I've definitely set some challenges for us, but no, it's good to be part of the program, and yeah, it's like we're a big fan of what you're doing. So.
Yeah, I think as long as somebody is, because I've got to the point where I don't think I'm a fan of what we're doing. But before we get into what we're doing and like how we got here with the bike, anyway, let's just talk a little bit back about you and like how you got into motorbikes and how you got to be in this awesome facility with all these amazing bikes around us.
It's definitely like a little bit of a more unique storyline because I guess I didn't typically come from the family of like race motocross or anything like that. Probably just more come from a family of like more petrol heads, I guess.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know, from an early age, I pretty much just like frothed anything with two wheels.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Well, dad had a couple of bikes growing up, like just road bikes, and brother and cousins and stuff like that, but nothing like, we're talking like farm bikes basically. And I don't know, from just, ever since a kid, I like always draw like a huge attraction towards motorbikes, and at the time, probably the closest thing I could get was my BMX, so yeah, so I sort of grew up, funny enough, playing soccer, and then a bit later in my teenage life, I sort of started racing BMX.
Yeah, okay.
And like that sort of kicked off the buzz a bit more.
Which doesn't seem a very like easy transition from soccer to BMX to then motorbikes.
Yeah.
Like, there doesn't seem much of a transition at all, my friend.
No, there wasn't. But I just came from obviously a family who that was like, the whole family grew up playing soccer and involved in like a lot of like local clubs and stuff like that. And got to probably the age of 13 and all I really wanted was a motorbike.
Really? So even when you were playing soccer, you still
like
wanted a motor?
frothed it, and then like one of my best mates in high school at the time, like him and his family come from like a big moto background, and they'd take me away camping and would get out and taught me how to ride and all that stuff, and was just like so obsessed with it from that point on.
I kind of gave you the 500 suspension, my 501, and said, I want to go across the Simpson Desert. And you did roll your eyes a little bit, but you managed to make a bike work for someone who doesn't know suspension very well.
Yeah.
You can set up these amazing race bikes to change a clicker here or there, but you're great with just being able to give me a package and say, put this in, talk to me over the phone, and we'll make it work. And it's been so good to be able to have those kind of package and support from you. It's not just here's the suspension, good luck. You really do like that aftercare stuff as well.
Yeah, for sure, and that's something that I've always focused on. Whether you're like I said, whether you're a weekend warrior or a pro level guy, I've always like tried to give every single one of our riders as much information and data that, if you get put in a situation where you do need to make a change, that they have like a little bit of knowledge of like what to do, and and just like you said, just always be there for people if they need advice, or because at the end of the day, even I know this from experience from when I was racing, you have to have like suspension's so personal.
Yeah, very much.
And it's like, it's so hard to just be able to give someone like a set package and just be like, here you go, ride this, don't ever like touch a thing, it'll be perfect, because it never is.
No, definitely not.
And,
I think also for the money that we're spending on something that we want to be so customized, it's great to know. When I picked up the suspension for like the big Desert Rocket I've got now, you gave me like a list of settings to try, and then we spent here a little bit of time going through and figuring out how we change it, and then even when I called you, you said, okay, we'll just do a little bit here and there. It's great, and I don't think people understand really how different a bike can be once you put suspension in.
Yeah, and that's like I said, man, that's why we always try and give that information and you know, and it's like doing those camps with Benny Greenwood.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like those race ready camps, like the big part of that camp is like actually teaching people how to make adjustments and what they do and when they should do it. Because the way I look at it is if I can give someone a package and they can make these 1% changes, they're only going to be one safer, happier and faster with the product. And you'll be surprised like how many high level guys out there unfortunately don't quite understand how to set up a bike properly.
100%.
And they'll just get on and ride it because they're capable of doing it.
Yep.
But you know, sometimes if you make those, you know, those 1% changes, like you can be so much better for it.
And like just not even that, but like for the weekend rider, the fatigue level goes down as well. So you actually get to ride longer. I mean, and Alex and you know, friends of mine, they're just weekend warriors, but they get the suspension and they find they can go a lot better and longer because they're not as fatigued.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, at the end of the day, like safety as well. Like, that's probably number one.
We should probably talk about the big desert rocket that you've helped build on my behalf, because I mean that is another project that I was kind of skeptical you were going to say yes to because it's not really your forte. But what made you want to jump on board on this one?
Oh well, obviously we had a pretty big part. We played a pretty big part with Benji's.
A pretty big
attempt.
part. You were the whole part that where reason Benji got through.
And I'm like, don't know why, because that was like such a stressful point in my life. I'm like, I don't know if this guy's gonna make it out of alive, but to his credit, like what he did was unbelievable.
Because obviously Benji set in the original record, and just coming to you and saying, hey, look, I want to take my WR and cross the deserts in Australia. Not many people would be like, yeah, 100% I want to get on board with you, mate. So for you to say it.
Probably understand like I didn't understand like the level of like craziness it is, like what you guys are gonna do or did. But I don't know, like I'm all about getting behind like a good cause, and you know, I've always been about like, you know, help Jackie.
Yeah,
with
on
the
Jackie.
thing, and you know, like I've always thought about doing some fundraisers and stuff myself, and yeah, there's just like I feel like if I can be a part of these little projects and things and help for a good cause and still get to work on bikes, like it's like pretty cool experience. And
it's a lot of problem solving too, I guess.
It is,
it's something really different.
Yeah, like obviously with your setup, it's definitely a pretty crazy, unique kind of thing, but you know, Nick and I, who's Nick, my other suspension technician / mechanic, and we had to nut out a lot of maths and work out like the variance between your bike being fully loaded and not fully loaded. And it's actually been a pretty cool experience, and it's cool to be a part of.
I think it was funny when you said that, you know, my bike was like riding with a passenger and then losing him halfway through the ride.
Basically,
like, that was the weight distribution and loss over the entire ride, and trying to get a suspension to be able to go, oh, here's this, now let's lose 60 kilos and keep riding.
Yeah, and that's that definitely set its own challenges in itself. But,
yeah, man.
Again, that's like kind of what I liked about it, I guess, because it's like, well, how can we make this work? And again, that comes back to like being able to give you the information and the knowledge to be like, Jeremy, you're not going to be able to just ride this. You're actually going to have to make some severe changes between between the bike being fully loaded. Because like you said, there's 60, 70 kilos of variance there.
Oh yeah.
And
you feel it.
Yeah. And then like, it's not only that, but then we have to work out where that weight is being changed and lost, because it's not just necessarily one point in the bike, it's over the whole space of the bike. And yeah, that's actually been like a pretty cool thing, and obviously we've had to make some small adjustments along the way. But
well, as I said before, it was great when I came here to pick up the bike, and I had it was pretty daunting at the start, because I had this list of all these changes I had to do and do this, and then obviously we sat here for about half an hour, we went through it, and then I've gone back and done probably about 12 to 1500 Ks on what you've told me. And then it was great just to be able to literally call you up and say, hey, the front end's diving, what am I going to do? Change a couple of things, and now the bike, I mean, it still handles like a log going down the river, but it's got a little bit more turn in the rapids than before, and it has been I really did notice the weight difference, like not the weight difference, but the fatigue difference that I had from when I first had the stock suspension that we used to set up when I went across the Simpson to what now, it's completely different.
And that, that obviously goes back to like those packages and stuff like you offer, because you need to be able to like look at it or like get that information off the rider and be like, what are you doing? What are you using it for? And then be like, okay, you really need to be putting this, and this in because it's the only way we're going to be able to make it handle the way we want. And it's just not just like, oh, let's just put some springs in it and revalve and hope it's going to work. It's actually thinking a little bit outside the box and being like, no, we have to sort of, it's just even down to the little nitty gritty of like using a mechanical preload adjuster on the rear shock spring. So that way, that gave you the option of being able to adjust the ride height as the bike got lighter or heavier. And it's just always like thinking outside the box, and these little 1%ers that just help so much with the end result.
So does that mean now on your list of packages there's going to be like desert rocket trip package? Is there going to be a special package for like, nobody's going to purchase it, but I just want to see it on there at least once.
Well, we could definitely offer it. I don't know if anyone would be crazy enough or wild enough to build a bike like
I hope no one does it. Don't ever do this. It's a dumb idea. It's a lot of work, but I definitely hope there's a desert rocket package now, my friend.
But I'm all about like stupid and crazy, so I think, like I said, if we can be a part of it and just knowing now, like we've given you the best equipment possible to be safe and get the job done, let's hope we can do it.
Well, as I said, like as I tell everyone now who's helping with the bike, if the bike breaks because of it, it's your fault. You're the one paying for it to come home.
You did tell me that before, and I had a little bit of a heart rate spike.
I know. You went, the suspensions are going to get it today. It's going to be another couple of days. Yes, I'm like,
that's what I thought. Take time with this.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But look, there's so much more I want to talk about, especially this bad boy behind us, but we're just going to run out of time. I think we'll definitely have a chat when I get back from my stupid trip across the desert. But I can't thank you enough from me, my perspective, all the support you've given me over a little while, and also from all the riders. I mean, I brought another mate suspension down because it's really cool to see what you do, not just for myself, but for so many other riders in the sport. It's cool, and like the support. You're right. You don't make massive profits because you help riders so much, and I think that's an amazing thing to do, especially in our industry where everything can be so expensive. To know that your margins are so small just to be able to help everybody, it's amazing. So thank you from me and from everyone else.
Anytime, and love being a part of it. So
I can't wait to see what you're going to do in the future.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Cheers.